What's up, homies? Welcome back to the Invincible comic book reviews brought to you by Heroes Reforged and Kellogg's Cornflakes. We are so happy to be back, y'all. We're reading the Invincible comic book volume by volume. And this is a key major episode. If you're watching this later after the fact and you're watching all the episodes in a row in a nice little playlist, this is the first one back. We've now seen Invincible, the Amazon animated series, all of season 1. So we're in season 2 now, baby. This is a different game.
Yeah.
This is a different game. I am so stoked to get back into it. Just in case, here's a little business up at the top. You haven't seen any of our previous Invincible comic book reviews, please go check them out, including all of the tie-ins up to this point in the series. We are today covering Volume 8, My Favorite Martian, right here. But we've got everything that comes before this for you, ready to go, including the famous Marvel team-up Spider-Man crossover. You heard me correctly. Spider-Man crosses over with Invincible and vice versa. Early 2000s Marvel comics. It's fantastic. On top of that, check the links below in case you're not reading Invincible along with us. We've got all the links for all of your resources to be able to get the comic book digitally, physically, whatever, in any kind of format you want. There's a bunch of different options. But I'm just so happy that the world has now discovered the amazing story that is Invincible. Augustine, I know you feel the same way, and even Adam, I know you feel the same way because you're on the train before the show started, and we got to ride that train together.
And the amount of people who've tweeted at us since the show has started and are now past us and have read the whole comic book run. I'm like, oh, now we have catching up to do. Okay.
In a weekend. Yeah. I think it's absolutely wild that we can have a full-blown conversation on Twitter about this without having to be like, oh, well, you should go read it. Now it's like people are into it. And we ended volume 7 in one world and we entered volume 8 in another world. And it's kind of trippy how we ended where the season ended, kind of. Because we ended with some D.A. Sinclair stuff. We ended with some of the things are not in the exact same order, but we kind of ended in almost the same place.
Well,
totally.
You think Robbie Kirks is watching us? Bobby Kirks? Bobby Kirks is watching us. He's like, we should end it right there.
The cool thing is that Robert Kirkman, as he was announcing season 2, I think he kind of let it slip, but like Amazon and Invincible, the social media, they're putting it out where he was like, we're going to see Angstrom Levy in season 2. We're going to see Angstrom Levy in season 2, Levy, whatever. And that is the last thing we just dealt with, where Mark had to fight this guy through all those interdimensional portals. He had a crossover with Spider-Man. That's how that happened. But like, we're going to get that character and that storyline in season 2, as well as I think what we're going to talk about today. But you guys are right, Augustine. Like, we did cover, like, the thing we're also talking about today is the Reaniman, which like that already happened in season 1. So
exactly.
I somehow got super confused, and I thought when we saw that in the show that we had already read that in the comic book. And I'm like, oh, they moved this up a lot earlier, which they did. Well, but I started reading this, and I was like, oh, we actually have not dealt with this part yet.
Been there yet?
Yeah, we just dealt with the very beginning parts of it.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, the scene where the first Reaniman zombie character like impaled himself on the. We read that, and that did happen in the comic when Mark went with William to just check out the college. And then what they did for the show is they took this storyline where at the beginning of this volume, William is still worried about their friend Rick Sheridan who's gone missing, and he's like, "What if we could do something?" And then he decides to do this plan where he dresses up like a homeless person to get taken down into the sewer. and so that I think also was kind of covered in that all one episode of the show. So let's just jump into it, man, because I think we've I'm refreshed now that we've gone over what happened in volume 7 as well as Marvel Team Up. The first thing I want to say to you guys, I want to ask, did you hear the actors' voices?
Oh, there was no way.
1,000%.
No way to read the book in any other way.
Rexplode, dude. Rexplode. 1,000% Zooks. Like all days. And I was like, oh, this is even better now that it's Manzukis. It's so good.
It is. It absolutely is.
Okay. And I also did listen to the Invincible soundtrack while I was reading this. It was good. It was good.
There was a moment where Run the Jewels kicked in on that playlist, and it was like right when Mark grabbed the thing from Rudy Robot and like went to go kill the sequence. So it was this amazing don't get captured. It was this great moment where I'm like, oh shit, this is just like the show. This is great. What were we gonna say, Adam?
No, I mean it's totally true. Like every single character who up to this point that we've met in the in the animated version who has a voice, I'm applying that to every single character. Rexplode. It was funny. I started reading it. I was reading it very monotone in my head, and then I got to Rexplode, and I was like, no.
That's Zeus.
No. You gotta redo it. But it was great because we got to see Alan the alien. We got to see almost every character that we've seen on the show so far. So it was really, really cool to jump back into the book and have that. It also made me really appreciate the animation so much more because as I'm reading, I'm looking at the art and I'm realizing just how damn close it is to the comic book.
Yep.
Like they did a really good job translating it almost like 1-to-1, but still giving its own spin and style, which I think is super impressive.
Right. So let's talk about volume 8. So we had 3 main storylines. We had the Sequids coming back.
Yep.
We had the Lizard League attack on the nuclear facility. And we had the potential or the actual Mark love story, Amber breakup situation, which seems like they're still pretty hot and heavy in the show right now. But I think this volume is where this book starts to become a page turner. So fast because I burned through this volume so quickly and I just wanted to keep going. Like I had to stop and I was like, fuck, I gotta stop. I can't keep going because we gotta cover this. And I was so tempted to keep going, but I didn't want to like confuse myself with the storylines and stuff. But what did you guys, Adam specifically, what did you think of that Sequid attack?
Oh, it's so good. I mean, I think like season 1 on the animated show side, I think what it did was it presented all the action sequences from the first, few volumes that we read in such a dynamic way. And for whatever reason, going into volume 8, I could mentally kind of fill in the blanks of what the animation could look like. And it made the comic book really come to life in my head. And I could really feel the comic book like playing out all these moments of Eve trying to hold up that force field. And based on like the rhythm of the show, I could almost apply it to the pace I'm reading it at. And it just kind of felt like an animated series on the page, just kind of playing out. So I think, again, it's a huge testament to how great the animation is. And it's a huge testament to Kirkman's writing and how they're really able to tell a really good, interesting, and enticing story on the page. And I think all the action sequences are so damn good. And again, there's always dynamic artwork. There are amazing panels that feature really amazing poses by all the characters. But I think the way it adds to the story and I think like how the dialogue supports the visuals and vice versa, it's been strong ever since the first volume. And but seeing all those Sequids like going up against those heroes, and I love that the book always presents challenges to all the characters. Cecil tells them it's got to be people who have like this type of strength, this type of vulnerability, and can like survive. And Adam Eve is like, well, maybe I shouldn't go, but I can rearrange my molecules. But you start to see the challenge that is required to like make it through a battle like that. So I like that they add the weight and the heaviness to the battle. And then while that's happening, you have Rexplode and the remaining Guardians of the Globe going off, and like there's some real sacrifice made, and it's kind of sad.
Rex really steps up in this one. Yeah.
And
poor Duplicate, man.
Yeah.
Poor Duplicate gets munched on. Like she just literally gets eaten partially. It's really crazy, but I think you're right, Adam. I do like that there wasn't a moment wasted in this volume as far as like the characters go, because even though there was 3 characters left behind, three characters, right? Rex, Duplicate, and
Shrinking Ray.
Yeah, they were left behind to protect the world from, let's face it, a B rogue, like a C-list rogue squad, right? But they actually, had some power behind them,
right?
And even they used that opportunity for Rex to really shine, because he pulled through after having his hand bit off. He still beat the big
head.
Yeah, shot through the head and still fought the Supreme. Was it Supreme Lizard or something like that?
Yeah. Or no, I think it was King Lizard, because Supreme Lizard was this guy trying to take over, and then King Lizard got shot, shoots him in the head. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And then having Brit show up right at the end of the battle. There's one alive. think he's bad. And I'm like, where have you been, bro? Where have you been?
Britt, you could have avoided all of this, dude.
Also, from the show R.I.P. Donald, but Donald had a great little robot moment in this.
Oh
You know, again, it's so great to see the planning or the way that things are synchronized, whether or not Robert Kirkman has planned it or not. But like, he has a storyline where Rick Sheridan becomes this robotic type character, and so he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I can just have Donald kind of say, like, I went through that exact same thing." And what's fun is that we know a little bit about Donald just because we read some of that Brit comic book with that dealt with Donald and his ex-wife and everything.
I want to say on the front of Donald, honestly, just like reading that one page with him and Rick talking about, you know, them coming back from the dead in a sense.
You fell in love with him, didn't you?
I mean, I want Donald to come back in the show. Like, I hope in season 2 there's like a revelation of like, he's back and he's an android and we like wiped his memories and he only remembers certain things. I don't think we'll get into his like backstory like we did in the Brick comic book, which I thought was really cool because I don't think there's like time for that. But it would be really awesome to see if that character came back and we find out like he was basically brought back as a machine. I thought the character was cool. He like just that Brick comic book and what little time we spent with him in the first 7 volumes, but particularly this one scene about his struggle. And because we had kind of like read through that, you really empathize with the character. And I love that one moment. So I really do hope that the show brings him back.
I think that's once again testament to Robert Kirkman's writing getting better and better. Big Bobby Kirk's as he's going, he was able to really make me connect with Donald just on that one page.
Yeah.
Because you really got to, even though he's an android, you really got to connect to the human side of him. And I think that's what really matters, you know, like he was there for a person who was going through something that not a lot of people go through.
Yeah.
And he was able to connect and share his vulnerabilities and make the other person feel better. And it just, and it just makes you just fall in love with that character even more in such a short amount of time. Because we hadn't really spent a lot of time with Donald, as you said, Adam. And so, it's I think reading this comic book, after watching the animated show, reading this comic book is actually just getting better. Because I'm already I'm already familiar with the universe. I feel so refreshed and energized to just power through this. And I'm just like, this world is so engaging because of little moments like that, and because of like the realness of moments of Mark being confused about these girls, you know, like I mean, hopefully you guys haven't been through situations in which like there's a girlfriend potentially cheating on you, or you know, like feelings are unsure, but at the same time,
not that I know of.
Right, exactly.
Gotta make some calls.
The way your girlfriend is literally right next door to you, Hector. But the way that even those scenes were written, they felt very honest and very true to like how I feel people would react, specifically somebody like Mark, who's a superpower, but the way it's written, it doesn't feel like it's just written specifically for a superpowered human with a person who doesn't have superpowers. It feels like just a mixed match couple. And you could replace that problem of superheroes with anything else, where these two people don't connect and they're being very honest with each other about like, this isn't working. We don't have to make this ugly. It doesn't have to be drama. Like, I still love you, but we got to move on.
I really appreciated those last final pages of volume 8, where you have this moment with Mark, and I don't know. It just like, to me, it shows the maturity of the characters, and it's really starting to show, I don't know, a little bit more matureness, because I think in the first few volumes, their relationship is very much kind of like, well, he's a superhero side. I mean, he I think they perfectly explain in the comic book. Like, he says, you were letting me off the hook because I was a superhero, so I felt like I could take advantage of that. When in reality, it's really wrong that, like, I'm doing this to you and it's not fair to you. And I really loved that. I loved that finally, after so many months of them having this, of him and Amber having this relationship, you know, they were finally able to just, like, have a very honest conversation about their relationship, the realities of their relationship, and how they feel about each other. Yeah.
We got to talk about this. Did Mark mess up? Should he have told Amber about this? Are you kidding me? What's happening here? What happened?
Look, I've been waiting for those two to hook up since the first volume. So,
yeah. So okay. So technicalities. Yeah. Yes, it was wrong. He was still dating Amber while that happened.
Yeah, you don't do that.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
He did immediately go, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this to Amber. This is wrong. But he did think he kissed Samantha. He did think he kissed Eve. And Eve was like, I'm sorry, I kissed you. Like they both kind of had this mutual moment. I think that watching the show and how the writers of that batch of episodes have dealt with the Amber Mark relationship has strengthened my kind of analyzing the relationships in the comic book. You know, I read the book 15 years ago when it was coming out, 10 years ago when it was coming out, and I was a younger guy, and I thought probably differently about relationships even than I think about them today. But reading this and having watched the show, I was really like, oh, Mark, you're messing up a lot.
Yeah.
Like kind of until those last few pages where he shows up and the guy's like, oh, it's not what it looks like. No, it's cool, man. It's totally fine. I have to talk to Amber. And it was a very mature relationship. Now, the question is, should he have told Amber then? Like, oh, and also I kissed Eve. So that's why I think I'm going to maybe pursue. I'm like, maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was also weird. It's like one last cuddle. I was like, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Leave,
that's definitely written by someone who's like in their early 20s. Who's looking for one final little... You know what I mean?
It feels like a college. It feels like, and I'm not saying this is Robert Kirkman's state of mind when he was, in his 20s or 30s, whatever, how old he was when he was writing this volume. But it does feel like what Mark and Amber were saying felt like what people in their 20s in college would say to one another, while still kind of being careful on that end. But I think that also, like, the reason that Mark and Amber didn't work out in the show is a super valid and legit reason. And I've enjoyed seeing some of the discourse online, but a lot of it is a lot of the discourse that's like anti-Amber. I'm like, oh, you're missing the point. Like this is kind of being unfair to Amber. She laid it out very clearly why she was as upset as she was, and I think this book kind of reinforces that, because people were watching the show and they're like, oh, why is Amber mad at him? He's a superhero. He's saving lives. But Mark himself in this volume, yes, he goes, just because I was doing that doesn't mean that your feelings weren't valid, and it was unfair of me to kind of keep. Doing like you said, Adam, taking advantage of that. So this is some classic sort of Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane type of stuff. I am as invested in Mark's life. And again, he zooms out and he flies up above the college, and after he talks to Dean Winslow, which was great to see him and in my brain hear him again. Reginald Bell Johnson as that voice. But like he's like, dude, I'm barely making it through college. And you get this feeling of like you kind of are above this, man. Like your superhero life is sort of superseding any of your your chance at normalcy. Adam, what did you make of this moment? I love you, Mommy Debbie. I love you. What'd you think of that? Right there. Our little dude.
Debbie deserves a little bit of love, damn it.
Yeah.
And if it's from someone who like is not technically her son and is someone that she's adopted from somebody who is not the best guy, did not treat her the best, did a lot of wrong by her.
Yeah.
But if she gets to have one thing that is sort of like a comfort blanket, then I think she deserves it. And it was like a very touching moment to have that, and it's really the only time we see them in the book. It's I think the only moment, but it was really nice to like check in on them and to see them, especially because we've come out of the show, we've come out of the first 7 volumes, and I feel like the all the stuff that has happened to her, I don't know, I feel like it was like pummeled into us even more so by the events of what happened in the show. And there's more stuff that's happened to her since that we didn't really get a chance to see, and I don't know how much of it they'll go into, but having this just like one little moment of check-in where we can see she's like doing better, she's dealing, she's taking care of Oliver, and Oliver looks at her and says like, I love you, Mommy. And I'm like, thank God. We need needs this moment. Let her have one moment, please.
I agree.
Adam, last thing I have to ask you about, bro.
Yeah.
What did you make of this, my friend?
I mean, look, anytime we get to go off world and we get to explore characters that are either knew or we didn't get to see much of them the first time. And especially because, again, we're like past where the show is. It was really cool to see another character who's like a defector. And I'm like,
right?
oh,
Yeah.
this is going to be good. What sort of things is this going to lead to?
Spicier and spicier.
And I love that. And again, it's like they could have very easily just made the Viltrumites, oh, it's just Nolan. He's this type of character, and he did these things, and now he's evaded the Viltrumite Empire, and now they came for him, and all these things happen. I'm like, oh, there's more defectors. There's more. And I don't want to 100% just label Nolan as a defector because he did a lot of terrible things. But it was really refreshing.
He was changed by his time on Earth. I mean, we know this from reading the comic book, from reading Volume 6. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the show goes forward. The whole time I was reading this, you guys, other than the Reanimant stuff, I was like, this is all season 2. This is what we're going to see in season 2.
Honestly, I was reading, that whole book I was reading, I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen? I'm already theorizing in my brain, and we've only read like 1 or 2 volumes that have a lot of what season 2 will presumably have.
Yeah, right. It's been a good episode. Augustine, any other takeaways from like this reread? Because we're revisiting this now, man. It's been years.
So this reread, I've noticed that a lot of these little details, like everything we've read today, I kind of forgot about because what I remember mostly from my first read through was the main story arc with the Viltrumites, and there's not a lot, like, I don't really remember the Lizard League very much. Like, I don't really remember the Reanimant very much.
And this guy with this great, like this great appearance,
Shapesmith, exactly.
Which was the way he broke down the Martian sequid history, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about all this stuff. Like maybe the Martians were enslaving them, and maybe like it was kind of breaking everything down, and that it was the fact that he was a part of a splinter group that was trying to escape or give the sequid some level of
justice
agency
or something.
He specifically replaced the Earth astronaut, and then at the end that dude barfs up 2 sequids, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
not that
yet, right?
I think what's cool too. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go for it, Adam.
All I was going to say, I think what's really cool is that because we have kind of like, I know it's going to be probably like a year before we get the next season, but I think what's so nice for people who might be experiencing it for the first time and they're kind of reading it, they watched the first season of the show and now are reading the comic, or maybe started the comic book in the middle of watching season 1. You're going to get to kind of experience all these events twice, and some of it will be changed up a little bit, but I think it's going to be really, it's almost like a refresher, whether you're going into the show or the comic book. You're going to experience it one way, and then you may forget some details, but then you go into the show and you're like, oh yeah, that detail, because they might even also make a certain detail more important in the show, which I think is cool.
Listen, baby, the plan is we're trying to finish this sucker before season 2, the whole series.
The whole series, baby.
So by the time season 2 comes out, it will be like, oh yeah, going back in time a little bit to a part of the Invincible story that we are so far past that it'll be like new. So Augustine, what were you going to say? You were still talking about,
just to kind of go off your point, Hector. I feel like issue 12, the end of season 1, is the genie, like letting the genie out of the lamp, basically. I feel like it was a perfect place for us to stop at this point, but now it's full speed ahead and you just go. Like, we have to finish this at this point. There's no stopping us. But one thing that I will say that this comic has edged above anything else in the show, and this is me personally, just my opinion, Ryan Ottley's art, I think the show does a good job of capturing the designs, and the animation's great. And when I see Mark flying on screen, it makes you want to fly. But like seeing the life and like the gnarliness of some of these characters, some of these fight scenes. I know episode 1 was brutal, but I don't know if it gets more brutal than the way Ryan Ottley drew stuff. Like, like those, like, look at all the dynamic action. Look at those poses. Look at everything. The way he draws close-ups of the astronaut when the sequids are on him with the purple eyes, and like the veiny, like you can feel the veins throbbing, and just like there's a certain kind of energy and emotion that Ottley puts behind these drawings that, it's absolutely brutal. Like, look at that fight scene. It's just, there's blood, and you can almost, you're right, Adam, you can almost picture it moving, but it moves differently than the cartoon, than the animated show does. So I think they're both living simultaneously parallel with each other, but independent of each other, which I think is freaking brilliant. Like, look at all, look at those drawings. That's so cool.
The image.
That is the image. Yeah, that's so cool.
read the sketch in the back, and they're like, "Yeah, we doubled that as a poster as well." So like, so Ryan really took his time on that sucker, and
yeah, absolutely,
yeah, it came out. I can't wait, y'all. Should we announce the next book? It's volume 9. Okay, Invincible volume 9.
I mean, if you can count, you know what's coming up.
You know what's coming up. I mean, we'll let you know when we divert the path and we go to a tie-in or something else in the Invincible shared universe. But thankfully, this is a little bit of a run. We have volume 8, now volume 9, Out of This World. And then stay tuned, because in that episode, we may pivot. I may have to double check the schedule here, but we may get to maybe like a Brit volume 2, maybe. So just have that on deck. So, but the next one up is volume 9, Out of This World. And Augustine, I know what happens in it, because I saw the cover. If you pull up the cover right now, you will also know. Adam, do not pull up the cover. I do not want you spoiled.
Do not look at the cover, Adam. Do not look at these covers.
How do I read this?
Well, when you start reading, then you can see the cover, but don't look at it preemptively.
Yeah, exactly.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Once again, y'all, check out all of our previous Invincible content. Huge thanks to Skybound, Bobby Kirks, Ryan Otley, everybody for making it awesome. Adam, you want to let everybody know about all the other stuff?
The Invincible Twitter also, that was great.
Oh, so good. Amazing job. Invincible HQ, you should be following them on social media, because the person who runs that account does an incredible job. But like Hector was saying, we have all the uncut reactions for all 8 episodes of season 1 of Invincible on our Patreon. Check those out. The cut downs are fun, but the uncuts, that's the real meat and potatoes.
That's where the good stuff is.
Yeah, all the good stuff. We also have a Discord. Check out the Discord, because we've gotten so many people on the Invincible train. They're having conversations in there almost daily about the comics, the TV show, what to expect for season 2. Jump on over to that. Links for all that below, as well as the comics themselves. And I'm really happy that we're jumping back into the comic book. And now we're gonna. I'm
so excited, you guys.
Probably close to a year to finish it, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below your thoughts about the book. What do you want to say?
I said I'm stoked. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. Hey, we're gonna see each other this weekend. That's crazy.
I know, we did it. We're back, we're ready for some snacks.
And snacks.
It'll be a good time. But guys, let us know in the comments below your favorite moments from this issue. Maybe some of your theories for season 2, how they could adapt some of the stuff that we've read already. Don't spoil volume 9 for me, please. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye.